Good. So I will start. Everybody, warm welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And yes, let's start with our Cement Alliance video. Yes, welcome everybody to our Cement Alliance webinar 2021. It's our webinar number 34, and today we have one of our Cement Alliance partners, which is the company Trie Engenharia from Brazil. Trie Engenharia is a company. They are making modeling for preheaters, calciners. It's a company very well known in the international cement business. And our speaker today is the Trie founder, Joanna Bretz. Joanna is a Bachelor of Science, Chemical Engineering, honors of Best Student Awards. She applied and worked with computational fluid dynamics and air separators for the cement industry. She is a senior process engineer, has nearly 20 years experience in the industry, and she is focused very much in performance optimization and phenomenal modeling. Joanna is a known discussion partner for a lot of cement plants. She was training companies in 17 countries, focusing in combustion engineering, co-processing, SO3 cycles, NOx, and CO emissions. So all these topics we are looking for in this moment in our industry. She is from Brazil, from Minas Gerais. He has done a lot of seminars, a lot of activities. And yes, let's welcome Joanna. Joanna, thank you for being with us. And this is your time, this is your hour.
Thank you, Thomas, very much for the very nice introduction. And most of important, thank you all for taking the time to talk to us today. So I will start with the presentation. So today we are here to talk about Trie Radar and mainly about CO2 emissions and process optimization. The objective, I hope that today after we share some information, you can take something useful to really do something at your plant and use in your daily routine. It's a bit ambitious, but I hope that we are able to contribute. So today I'm here representing Trie, but our whole team is also in the chat. All of these people you see in our screen is... No? Can you see my screen? Sophia says to me that you're not seeing my screen. Just a minute. Sorry. I thought it was. Can you all see my screen?
Coming. Now it's coming. Put the full screen.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, so I will go back a little bit. So as I was saying, today the objective is to talk about Trie Radar, which is a special tool inside our Trie Analytics platform. And the idea is to give you something. It is free of charge. You all can access. Today I'll go through it and explain better how you can use the tool. And the idea is that you can make something useful on your daily routine to reduce CO emissions and help your company on that very special mission that we all have, right? So together with me today, we have the technical team of Trie. They are all in the chat. So if during my presentation you have any specific doubt or specific questions that you want to know more about, and you see I'm not explaining in very detail, please send to the chat. Our team can help you answering, and also we will record that and we can contact you later, okay, for more details. So at Trie, this is our team, and they are all involved on the development of the tool that I'm going to present. So, as we all know, I believe that everybody in here is directly or indirectly related to the concrete world that we live in. We are mainly here or either working on a cement plant, then producing cement, then contributing for this very special material which helps for the population and which is very important. And we all know that the consumption of concrete is increasing more and more. And we also know that is somehow a solution for the needed that the whole population needs. But also we know that it is related to the CO2 emissions, which is also a problem. And I believe that we all here are directly or indirectly related to that, because either we working on a cement plant or we work for cement plants. And this is what we as Trie, we felt that we should somehow, although we are not in a cement plant producing cement, we are working with cement people. So we also wanted to contribute somehow to help to overcome this challenge. So I'm very proud, and all of you should be as well, because our sector, we are really doing something. We are well organized. We have GCCA and many other associations which are already organizing the things and building to us a good basis from us to be able to really do something important and to achieve the climate ambitions. All the main players on the cement industry already had published their goals, and all the companies are very committed to that. Not only the leaders, we can see from the internet many videos and all the leaders talking about that, but all of them are stating that it's important from the leadership to the cement plant floor. So all of us need to be committed. And if you are not, even if you are not on a cement plant, you are part of the society. You are probably someone who consumes cement. So it also relates to you. So at Trie, when we decided to build Trie Radar, we took the GNR databases because we consider this is the best databases available, and it's very well organized. It is managed by the GCCA, which has around 35% of coverage on all the cement producers. So all the companies are somehow reporting data, and it is very, as you can see in here, it's a project which started a long way ago, and every 2 years it is updated, and we have a large numbers of cement companies with cement plants involved, and they are all reporting many indicators and many data. And all of this is very well organized and result in total. If you go to the internet on the GNR project website, you will find around 54 reports, and they all have data on production, CO2 emissions, power consumption, heat consumption, and mineral components. And why this database is not huge database or with a lot of data, it has been very well established on protocols on how the people report this data, how this data is collected. We have from DCCA a very well explained. You can access this and see the protocol, and you have the Excel sheets. And any company who wants to participate in reporting, it has to follow the same standards. So that is very important for databases. And it's a good example for us all when you think about building a database in your company or how to compare plants. It's very important that you have the same standard, because then this data, it's possible to compare and it's possible to really interpret it and have useful information for that. So for DCCA, we have this very well established protocol with all the equations are listed, and it's also audited by a third party. So it means that it's very well checked data. how it works. Nowadays, if you want to access this data, the standard, you go to the GNR reports website and you can download. Part of it you can download in this huge Excel sheet you can see on my screen right now. And you see there are a lot of tabs on this, and the data is like that. It's very complete. And the idea in here was really to produce a report which represents the cement and concrete sector. So it was built not for you to really, it was not imagined for you to compare other plants. But what we did in here was to build a tool which could help you to understand this data and see it in a very easy way. Because nowadays you have two options. You have this Excel sheet that you can download everything and play with it, or you can go and choose by a region in the world and a year, and you see in a graphic form. And all the data is in here. You have one indicator example, but in there you will find more than 18 different indicators. So in here, in your screen, you can see an example. If you want to compare in the whole world, in Europe and in Brazil, you can see each report separately. This is just the reports for the CO2 emissions up to clinker. And you would see on your screen, or you can save in PDF like this. So you have the distribution from the production, which means all the clinker produced from the participants are distributed in here from 0 to 100%. And then you can see how much CO2 is released per ton of clinker distributed according to the production. It's very useful, but if you want to really compare with a specific plant or a specific scenario that you want to know how it compares with the other region, with other country, then you need to go there, take a point and try to calculate by yourself. And some people, some of us, this is all somehow new for most of the people that I know from cement plants. And sometimes all of you have experience on dealing with data and dealing with process. We work on the cement plant. Sometimes we understand how this is produced, but we just have too many indicators. And all of you have some experience. Sometimes we feel just like a confused baby. Like, okay, I have too many reports, too many Excel sheets. Sometimes my laboratory data is in a different format. So how can I organize that, and how could I make a better use of this data to really take from that information and take some decision on my plant? On the plant, we need to identify what is the best indicator for you to look at. Is the one you need, right? So you talking about CO2 emissions, we need to think about, okay, the final is CO2 emissions up to clinker or up to the cement. But we need to balance in our daily routine. You have heat consumption and you have the alternative fuels consumption. Sometimes the material that we have to use, we have available to replace fossil fuels and then reduce the CO2 emissions, they are not so noble in quality. So they end up making us increasing our heat consumption. So it's very important that you find in your plant, you look to the numbers, but when you look to that, you have your mind in, okay, what is the best balance for my plant? How could I do it better? Is it a question of, okay, this is the material that I have, so I need to do something else in my process, optimize my equipment, and do something else to really enable my plants to use that without compromising too much my heat consumption, for example. And it's the same for the power consumption, for the CO2 emissions on the cement, on the final, because when the other option that we have is to replace clinker by other materials, which have similar properties and does not emit too much CO2 when it's produced. But it's very important that you do a correct analysis on the quality, on how it will really influence your cement, and do it properly. And for all of that, we at Trie, we are helping customers in all that aspects. As Thomas said in the beginning, we are specialized on modeling equipment, so we can help you to adequate your equipment to do a better usage of alternative fuels, to maximize it and to use it in a proper way that it will not diminish the value that it has by increasing your heat consumption, or you end up losing production and things like that. We all know that this happened, right? And also, we have Trie Analytics, which is a complete tool which will help you to really go from the data collection to filter to calculate the right indicators, and you have this in your hand at any time and very fast calculated because it's calculated on the cloud, and then you can go direct to your indicators, see what is going wrong, what is out of your goals, and then you directly act on that. And we do not only sell it, but we follow you. When we sell Trie Analytics, we always have some meetings and calls, and we talk with the customers all the time, and we follow your process as well. So when we see something is going in the wrong direction, in direction that it's not the one you established as a goal with us in the beginning of the project, we go there, we contact you, and you help you to establish an action plan when you can really go and take the action which is necessary to correct that path that indication was going outside. And one way to demonstrate it more close to your reality, we created like a demo, which is we call Trie Radar, with the intention to extend your vision on the indications. And we used GNR reports, as I showed before, which has 54 reports, many Excel sheets. You understand, right? It's pretty close to the situation that you have in your plant sometimes. And if you want to access it, it's free of charge. You just go to the website, radar.trieengineering.com. And it is a benchmark tool built as part of Trie Analytics. It will incorporate our assessment method, and you can there set up your indications, your indicator values, or any scenario that you want. We don't record anything you do inside the tool. So you are free to play with that. Don't worry, it will not be recorded. We do not even know which values you are putting. It's up to you. And that's why this webinar is very important. My objective here is to explain to you all how it works to guarantee that you're going to use it properly. And we are at your entirely disposal if you want to discuss more, or if you have any extra doubts even after this presentation. So what you will see inside Trie Radar, we took the 5 main indicators, which is more related to the daily routine of the plants, and which is we consider the most important related to your plant performance on thermal process, right? So you will see the heat consumption, exactly the same as it is in GNR. The consumption of alternative fuels expressed in percentage of thermal energy, the power consumption, the CO2 emissions up to clinker, and the CO2 emissions up to cementitious. How do you do? When you go to the Trie Radar website, it will look like that. You have a half of explanation about the tool in this website, but you can just click on this button, and then you go directly to a form. This form, it's the only data that we take, which is your name and your company and your email. And the reason for that is just for us to do both. When you fill up the form and you click on access, you will be directly to Radar. So the Radar will open on your screen directly as soon as you finish this. But without, maybe you fill up the form, but some days after that, you want to access it again, and you don't want to be filling up the form all the time. So we also send you, and that's the only reason we take your email, you also send you in the email that you put in the form, this email, which has also the access in here. So if at any time afterwards you want to access the Radar again, you just go to your email and you click this button, and you will be directly to the tool. When you go inside radar, this is the first thing that you're going to see. You have the 3 regions, you have the 5 indicators in a radar type graph. And when you click on the top of each region, it will automatically adjust your values to the most typical values of that specific region that you click on. Also, then you have in here for each region how your numbers that you input, either by changing the slider or typing on that box a value, a specific value, and it will automatically adjust your indicator in the graph and also show you in here how you ranking comparing to the other GNR participants. So how this number is related to your to the all GNR producers which reported the same indicator. And you will see that in here, for each indicator, you see the shape of the data distribution. So this is how, based on this shape, you can understand better how much people had, how much producers, units had reported that values. So how is the rank? We divided it in these 5 categories, which helps you to understand how your number, how the number that you put for each indicator is correlated. Just imagine if we take all the producers, all the reported values from the GNR, which is mainly most of all the producers in the CEMET world, then we rank them and we see how they distribute. And we understand that if in here, for example, in this case, as higher the value, like for heat consumption, you don't want a high heat consumption, right? So as higher is your value, less efficient is your plant. And usually, as you can see in the curve, less people is working on that range. Of course, this is usually not a good range to be at, and sometimes not even economic feasible. So if you put a number and you see an inefficient message, it means that you are performing below the average as compared with the other cement producers. And it means that you have a big room to improve this indicator. And usually when you are in this range, in this category, it means that you have big room for improvement, and it should not affect the other indicators because you are so far from what you should be on this one that it's possible you work directly on this indicator and you don't need to worry that you affect too much the others. If you see the average, it means you are on the average or pretty close to that. Means you are exactly in the range of values that you are in the typical performance of that region that you are for that indicator and that region that you are analyzing. If you are good, it means you are above the average and you are like this value could be considered as a reference for that region, considering all the GNR participants. If you see excellent, it means that you are above the region, and it means also that you are probably very close to the limit where if you improve this indicator, it may start to affect the others. So for that case, you need to look at everything together and be more worried about how it will affect the other indicators. And if you see outstanding, it means that you are really well better than the others, the other GNR participants. And usually when you are in that case, either you did something really different, like you improved your equipment, you innovate, you're using something different from that region. And in this case, you should become a benchmark for your region, or it means that you are already very close to the limit and there is no way you improve this indicator without affecting the others. And Trie Radar will work either on mobile or in your computer. The difference, of course, mobile is small screen, so you see one region at a time. then you need to go and roll it below and to the sides to see each region. And in computer or notepads, which has bigger screen, then you should see the 3 regions side by side. And as you change any of the indicators, you see the categories for each region right away. So with Radar, you can see how is your position comparing to the other GNR's participants. And you can have one idea on how good you are or where you can improve. There are also other ways, since you checked, okay, I can improve, my CO2 emissions is too high, and this comparing to the others, it means that I really have a room. There are many ways to improve the CO2 emissions. One of them is by increasing the replace of fossil fuels. And there are many ways that you can calculate how much CO2 savings you're going to get by replacing it. It's very important that you know the credits, and it varies a little bit from, there are a lot of protocols. It varies a little bit from country to country. Cement companies, especially the big ones, they had established their own rules in order to be in accordance with the roadmap. So if you really want to go to that, we can help you. Just contact us and we can customize the Trie Radar for you for that, and also for other applications in terms of how to benchmark and compare other indicators between your plants or even inside your own plants, and even including in the indicator analysis, how they will influence on each one and which bars that you have. But it is not already inside the Trie Radar, because this is to be a demo. So we just took the data which is public already from GNR reports. But and this one is free of charge to everyone, just for you to see how you are comparing to the rest of the world. But in case you really want a specific solution, these two can be customized and then help you to directly get this. It's possible for you to do by hand. It depends on the region. You need to find the right protocol. And although for traditional standard fuels, it's very easy to find, when we are talking about alternative fuels, it has to be determined individually how this biocarbon is represented by these specific alternative fuels. We also find on the internet some typicals AFR, the most common ones like tire chips, wood chips, the ones which are more common. You already find in many governmental agencies or CO2 trading systems, all of them have their own table. We did not took the risk to put this directly on Trie Radar because it would change so much from plant to plant that we could end up doing something which would not be totally correct. But in here you have an example from a plant where you just take the approximate analysis, then you can calculate the heat values, and also you can estimate the total CO2 from the combustion. Then you go to the table and you can see what is the credits for that specific material. In this case is an example with RDF. And for this project, you can see that the kilocalories reduced from 800 to 760, RDF being increasing from 20 to 80%, kilowatts per ton reduced from 120 to 100. And if you do that by hand calculations, you can see that the CO2 savings in this case would be 166 kilos per ton of clinker. This is just an estimate, and just to give you one idea on how you can deal with that in your daily plant. It's possible to do by hand, but in case you really want to take it serious, then you should use more advanced tools, and we are here to help. We really believe at Trie that together everyone achieves more. The CO2 is a challenge for the whole society, So we are here to help any of you that have any doubts or are interested in developing more. We are here. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Joanna. For us in our business, it's nice to have nice ladies in the business. So because it's a very good looking young lady and very intelligent. So I enjoyed very much this presentation. There are a lot of opportunities. We only have to get them. I would like to invite you now to make your question. You can do this directly to Joanna, or you can send also your question to the link in the open chat we have here. So any question, feel free.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Matthias.
And compared to the results that you have gotten, I assume from previous cement plants, where do they usually rank overall with the system? Are they tend to be good? Are they doing fairly well? And what's the past experience with it?
It varies a lot, really. It's difficult to give a general answer on that. Usually our customers, or the ones that we are more related, are more worried about increasing the TSR, and not only for the CO2 emissions reason, but for all the others. It's better for the environment, not only for CO2, but also we are giving a right destination to the material, which would be worse if they are just discharged on the environment, right? So I did change a lot. And this is a good question in terms of sometimes when you go to the Trie Radar and you click on the average or in the typical values of that region, it may not exactly fit the number that you have in your mind. But you need to keep in mind that in there, we are taking a very well-established database, which was standardized, audited by a third party. So it's something that you can rely on. And it may not reflect your experience, the number that you have in your head, because the sample that you have in your head is very different from the ones which are participating on GNR. And also we have, for example, when we take the whole world, China is not very well represented on GNR right now. And they really contribute a lot on terms of the volume of production of cement. So of course, when GNR is increasing, GCCA is doing a great work, getting more and more participants. So this database is going to get better day by day. And it is the same on the cement plant when we start on Trie Analytics. People sometimes they don't have enough data or enough useful data. That's why the first step is to collect. The second is to filter, to really take from all the data that you have, what will be useful data. And in here, it's the same. We need to increase these databases for this to really coincide with all the plans that we know and things like that.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Joanna, we have a question here from Mr. Hubert Bayer. He is asking, do you have already a CO2 trading platform in Brazil, like it's in Europe, the EXX, the EX?
Oh, Germano, can you help me with that? We have an expert on that in our team. I think he would be better to answer.
Hi guys. No.
Yes, that's me. Sorry.
No.
Hi, Joanna.
Hi. Actually, I took some of your work in here, and thank you for your contributions. You probably saw when I mentioned the example.
Welcome. Thanks to Tom. Huh?
Yes, Tom connected us.
No, the background of this question was because all these CO2 data addicted, I would say, to alternative fuel and raw material. They are just balanced in the German office of the German emission trading office. And so these numbers are just sent to the European emission trading platform, and there you can buy the allowances or sell the allowances due to the demand we have for your cement plant. So, and since my work in Brazil, I have always the same discussions, and now I would be keen to know whether you have a trading a CO2 trading platform established because it's highly required.
Germano?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
But it's gonna be just time. Most of the world. I just saw that last week, China has launched their trading scheme. When China is on, probably it's going to be the larger in the world. I think that's the point is not if we have or not, it's when it's going to come, and we need to be prepared for that. That's the big point. It's going to take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It's going to be a tax, or it's going to be a trading scheme. At the end, it's going to be a trading scheme. Both of them link it together. I think that's going to be the future. It's going to come sooner than we thought.
The problem, I think, is we do not have any time to postpone such discussions. Every day we realize what the climate change is causing, and so I think we have to accelerate. Sorry to say, even when your Bolsonaro is just firing the Amazonas, so I think he should be punished or pay for this CO2 emissions. It makes no sense that we as a cement sector, we are reducing the CO2 emissions, and on the other hand, such guys are just burning down the natural resources. Okay, sorry.
Totally agree.
Totally agree.
My opinion, of course, everyone has the right to have its own opinion, but don't need to be sorry about me. I completely agree with you, and that's why what we are doing here on Trie Radar is try to do our own contributions for that, to help the cement people to get a fast analysis, because we know in the daily routine, sometimes we don't have the time to really go and take all the reports and to analyze ourselves. So that was the idea. And we are ready to customize it. So I believe that we don't have a standard in Brazil. We will start with international ones, because the biggest companies here, cement companies in here, they have international representatives. So that's why I put in my slide. For each person who wants to use Trie Radar, you need to check which are your bases, which are your references. Your company probably have its own references, and usually it's even better than the ones, at least for us in Brazil. Companies usually establish better limits than our government. So because they have international market, they take more careful about these limits and which should be the values. Yeah, you want to?
May I ask a last question, I would say, or to make a last remark? So I think it's out of any politician decision. But the impressive thing for me personally is that the world financial systems like World Bank, Green Climate Fund, and so on, they are just looking on that. And that's the most powerful tool they have than we as a politicians are making our crosses. So, okay. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being invited. No, I will switch off here.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Good. Next question. Thank you, Hubert. Somebody else?
I don't know if we have in the chat.
Yes, no. Somebody else from the chat?
Perhaps I could say something.
Yes, go ahead.
It's pretty important to recognize that the alternative fuels that have the lowest CO2 emission are sometimes also the most difficult ones to burn and to combust and make your calcinering plant perform as well as it would without using these fuels. Joanna just hasn't had time today to go into any details, but our in-house developed CFD, Trie Smart Flow, has the capabilities of optimizing calciners and kiln burners to maximize the use of these alternative fuels that are low in CO2 emissions. And it's one of the things we specialize in and can help our customers around the world to maximize.
Yes, thank you, Tom.
Good. Thank you for your input, Tom. So, anybody else? So, if not, I can only say thank you again, Joanna. Thank you for your time and interesting webinar.